It's kind of amazing to me how few people know about Telos. Telos is really focused on expanding its reach in the developer community. We welcome all devs. We love our devs. I can't find anything else that does the job like Telos does. Everyone's thinking about the Bitcoin ETF. I'm thinking about wrapped tokens on Telos.
All right. Yep. My name is John Lilic.
Good day, fellow Telosians, and welcome to our first live town hall event of 2024. I'm your host, JT Bice, co-founder and head of infrastructure for the Telos Foundation, coming to you live from Texas. Today, we're giving a brief update on our progress since our last town hall at the end of December. Then we're going to take a hard right into how we're going to market all of this progress and bring the masses to Telos. Joining me today are a triad of trailblazers who eat, sleep, and breathe marketing, vision, and plans. First up, we have our digital prophet, Peter Wynn himself. Peter is so ahead of the curve that he's already in the next block before finality is reached. Then joining us also for the first time on a Telos Town Hall is the chief of Telos himself, John Lilic, a man with so much chutzpah that when he tweets about coming after scammers, they just give the tokens back. And that's a true story. All right, so for the next hour, just pretend that you're a sponge and soak up all of the marketing prowess of this team. Two dudes that are working together to rewrite the Web3 marketing run book. All right. So we're going to give a real brief update on the swim lanes that we talked about last time before we go into any kind of detailed updates. So Scalable Proof Protocol still on track for all of the stuff is on track. It's pretty amazing, since Lee has come on board and the team is really huddled around that. And he's been a wonderful leader to really keep us accountable on these schedules. So, and also adding John to the team too is also been a huge help. So, the roadmap is on track here. And with that, I'm going to let John and Peter come on and kind of introduce themselves. John, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing very well. That was outstanding introduction. Peter's in the next block even before finality.
He is. He's already there as far as marketing is concerned, for sure. Go ahead, John.
Well, no, I mean, just want to say thank you and hello to everybody. It's been really wonderful. This last 4 to 6 weeks or so, hanging out, getting to know everybody. We've had lots and lots of action. Lots of different things have happened. I guess you did mention in the intro that, as everybody knows, there was a rug pull recently. I guess it was probably the smallest rug pull in the history of crypto. But I'm very happy to announce that we've gotten the funds back. We've put them in a airdrop. I guess I'm going to probably tweet the address shortly. But thankfully, those guys did the right thing. They returned the funds. So that's a really nice win. But aside from that, it's just been really wonderful to get to know everybody, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks here, and looking forward to talking about a bunch of stuff on this town hall.
Awesome, very good. Thanks, John. Peter.
Amazing. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, John. Thank you, JT, for the introduction. Hello, friends. Welcome, everyone, to Town Hall number 3, where we will be covering marketing for a global community. We're really excited to have you guys here. For those of you just tuning in and haven't really had a chance to hear us speak, my name is Peter Nguyen. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for the Telos Foundation. I've been with Telos for just over a year now. I've been in Web3 exclusively for the past 3 to 4 years, and marketing cumulatively for the past 15 years. Just a quick brief intro. I started off Actually in politics. When I graduated from the University of Toronto, I worked for the federal Canadian government, for the Canadian Senate, doing sustainability research, human rights research, and overall kind of community PR, hosting community events and things like that. And that really kind of just opened my eyes into the world of marketing. I saw how powerful it was firsthand. And 15 years later, here I am, sitting alongside JT and John Lilic.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. All right. So we're going to go into a little update about some progress that we've made since the last town hall meeting. And we're going to start out with EVM. So I know that we talked about the release of the 1.5 EVM, which is a package of 3 pieces of software, right? We talked last time, it's the EVM smart contract that runs on Telos Zero. It is the EVM translator that takes those transactions from Telos Zero and brings them into a database specific for the EVM RPC. So all 3 of these things have gone through major code revisions over the last year. We're very close to being able to release it. The last of the 1.5 contract bugs have been eradicated, and we've resynced the data at least a half dozen times in the last 30 days. And we feel really good about the quality of the data, and everything is coming together wonderfully. In addition to that, we have hired 2 more roles for the TCD since last month. One of those is Roy Crocker, who is joining us from the Swapstickle team as our TCD project manager. And the second one is Daniele De Tullio. He's Italian. He's a cryptography researcher and mathematician. He actually got his PhD in mathematics in Italy. And he's already proving to be a key contributor to help making the scalable proof protocol a reality. He was helping us on a part-time basis previous to this and really meshed well with the team. We liked him a lot, and we wanted to bring him on full-time and made it happen, thanks to Alberto. So yeah, that's some really good news there. The Zero Knowledge white paper is coming along wonderfully. I've seen it myself. I've gone through the draft, and I start going through it. I make grammatical corrections, or just we're writing it in English. We've got some non-native English speakers that are doing it. And they're doing a fantastic job. And then I get down to like the real nitty gritty and all the math and the formulas. And I'm just like, yeah, this is really out of my wheelhouse. So I'm excited for you guys to be able to see the white paper and see the novel concepts that these guys are coming up with to make SPP a reality. So that will be released very soon. It's being reformatted right now for a proper white paper format, and then is going to be released in a public conference somewhere. So stay tuned for that info and the associated presentations. Let's see, what else do we have here to update? Telos Zero, not Telos Zero, but the OFT. So we spoke last month also about the OFT standard. We went with layer 0 for our bridge, and the OFT standard that we're working to adopt for Telos in transition away from the P network is currently deployed on testnet, being tested. Everything is going very well. Hoping to have that on mainnet before the end of the quarter still. We've made some great, a new release on wallet.telos.net that will now allow you, we've been talking about being able to go in and allow you to revoke. So now you can go in and revoke via MetaMask and get any previous connections that you've approved in MetaMask, go in and remove them. Awesome news. We're also going to be releasing buy.telos.net that will give you the opportunity to buy through Simplex, Topper, which is like the Uphold widget, and Ramp. So those are big news items that are coming down the pike from the TCD. And with that, we're going to switch over to Peter to talk about K218.
Perfect. Thank you for the updates, JT. So in regards to K218, which is our bit of a refresher, that is our ZK EVM gaming sidechain. A lot of good news, a lot of good progress lately. We've been working pretty closely with the gaming team over at Telos, led by Justin Edwards. He was appointed around, I believe, sometime in December, and he's kind of hit the ground running. I mean, the progress that he's made in terms of revamping the gaming ecosystem over at Telos has been nothing short of spectacular. So some of the updates that we'd like to deliver there is the technical direction for this new sidechain has now been scoped and very close to moving into production. So we are close to starting the production of this new sidechain. The white paper has been completed and it will be published soon. So alongside the zero knowledge scalable proof protocol white paper, we'll also get a chance to dive into the K218 white paper shortly after that as well. If we could actually switch to the next slide as well here, JT. One of the things that we've been focused on pretty aggressively within the last month has been onboarding a number of different titles, gaming titles, onto Telos EVM. And we're slowly at a place where we can start announcing and having some of these games be playable. And it's a good lineup, guys. You guys want to tune in for what we have in store, because some of these titles are AAA, very good. Some of them are very well known within the crypto space as well. A lot of usage, a lot of hype around it. So very excited to get these games onto Telos EVM. And moving into Takika. So during the last town hall number 2, if you guys remembered, Takika was brought forward by our head of design. So it is a new innovative NFT collection that is user-based, that is journey-based, and the progress of this has been, again, nothing short of spectacular. This is being led by Chris Waxa at the moment, and to give you guys a couple of updates, we've recently finalized the artist that we will be working with for the entire duration of this project, and we're very excited. We're going to unveil kind of a launch party for this artist within the next month or so. And alongside of that, there's a lot of different outreach that's happening right now. We're looking for different brand partners to be associated with the program once it launches. And that's going to include ecosystem partners from DeFi, GameFi, SocialFi. One of the other things that we've been trying to lock down is actually a fashioned brand partner. So one of the goals of this whole Takika program is actually to merge the gap between physical and digital. And one of those tasks will be actually to work alongside exclusive brand partners that will be taking some of the wardrobe designs, concept arts, and turning it into a physical experience, a physical thing that you can purchase, or merchandise, let's say, as a sneak peek. So things are going great. We'll have a lot more details on Takika. The go-to-market will be starting very soon, next to all of the marketing lead up, all of the content that will be coming out. And that's starting very soon. So that is an update on all the product lines. Thank you, JT.
Awesome. All right, we're going to bring John back to talk about our Asia strategy. John, what's your plan there?
All right. Well, I guess some folks have been following some of my tweets and things we talked about recently. Basically, from my experiences with early Ethereum and helping grow Consensus and even later Polygon, and also given the fact that I've lived half my life in Asia, I guess I'm a little bit predisposed to this market. It's the most dynamic market, in my opinion, in the world. Very large population centers and lots and lots of crypto adoption. And so I feel like Telos, generally speaking, should make more of an effort to focus on this region. That doesn't exclude other regions, and we will be going actually on a global tour. But to start, I'm going to be doing a bunch of little meetups and events starting in Tokyo in a couple weeks. We're going to move around, go to Seoul, probably go to China, definitely Hong Kong, etc. All the places on the map. We'll finish up in India. I think we're going to do a couple events in India. And so what we can expect is probably a bunch of little meetups. Maybe if we gain some momentum, there'll be a bigger event. We've got a few partners who we will be working with, very well known. Those announcements will follow shortly. So basically, if you're around, we'd love to hang out. I will be, and Telos Foundation will be tweeting more specific information about various events coming up, date, location, etc. We're going to focus on basically two tracks. One is developers for sure, probably do some hackathons as well. And then the second track is uh, m- in particular in Japan, Korea, and Hong Kong, um, on the institutional side and the business community. There's lots and lots of opportunities there for Telos, in my opinion. Likewise, just raising awareness. I've said this before. I still can't believe how few people actually know about Telos. And in addition to these events, we're also going to be re-architecting our website to like translate all of the content that we put out. We're going to be working with more people from various countries in the region to ensure that like we are interacting with these communities in their own language. I love Japan very much. Don't get me wrong. Tokyo is amazing. The food is amazing. Everything's wonderful. But like people don't speak English there. Um, Probably because like it's just really wonderful to converse in Japanese. But you know we don't really, for example, have a whole lot of content in Japanese. Likewise, we don't really have much content in Mandarin or Cantonese, etc. So those kinds of things will be focusing on more. And yeah, as these event schedules, dates and times and locations, etc., are released, hopefully I'll see some of you at these upcoming events starting in Tokyo a couple weeks from now.
Awesome. How long are you going to be over there, John?
It kind of depends. I mean, I feel like definitely for the next few months at least, and then each individual event or city, you know, a few days, maybe longer. I'll probably go to Tokyo for like 4 or 5 days. We already have some meetings lined up, and then you know, depending on traction and how things play out, we can stay longer. But probably something like 4 or 5 days per city, you know, over the next 3 or 4 months, something like that.
Okay. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you, sir. Peter, we're going to throw it back to you. Talk about our event strategy for 24.
Absolutely. Thank you, JT. Thank you, John. So as John mentioned, John will be doing a very specific set of event tours for the next 2-3 months. And that's essentially going to wrap up, Q1 of this year of 2024. But that's not all. Really, that's not all. So kind of alongside John's stream of tours, the Telos Foundation has also identified a number of different events that we will be targeting and attending this year as well. Myself, alongside my team, we've perused a list of around 500 different events for the year of 2024. We've identified about 40 to 45 events that we will be attempting to make a presence at this year. And there's a couple of different considerations when kind of scoping out the types of events that we'll be attending. It's one of those things where when it comes to Web3 marketing, there's always more that you can be doing. Right? There's always more events, there's always more advertisements, there's always more KOLs, there's all these things that we could be doing. At the end of the day, we have to take a look at, where we are relative to our roadmap, how events tie into the overall structure, the overall narrative of what we are delivering, and then systematically tying it together within a cohesive way that makes sense chronologically. And within that consideration, we've identified a couple of core competencies that we'd like to progress throughout the year. John's events are one of those. To tie in, some of those other ones include technology, right? So we will be targeting specifically tech-based conferences, summits, events, where there will be multiple opportunities for a person such as JT, a person such as Jesse, a person such as Alberta to go to these events and conferences and speak about certain things that we will be delivering. For instance, SPP, K218, right? We have 2 white papers that are dropping, and there's a huge opportunity for us to make an impact within the more tech developer-based niche of these Web3 conferences. And that ties into hackathons, right? So a big portion of our presence this year will be attending, certain events. We may do hackathons at certain events. We may not at certain others. It depends on the scope. It depends on the region. It depends on the type of conference. So that's definitely big on the scope. K218 as another product stream, right? When this is kind of launching, this opens the door to, let's call it gaming conferences, right? There's a number of different gaming conferences that on a year-to-year perform really well. Right, so I can think of a few right now. There's one in Germany, I forget the name, and then there's another one in San Francisco, right? GDC, right? So there's a number of different conferences that we can attend on the gaming side, and that's a huge opportunity for Justin Edwards and his team to go out there to do business development opportunities, to look for AAA titles, to look for projects that are looking to launch a game, but they're unsure of the network they want to launch on. That's our opportunity, right? And not just network, right? We're seeing games increasingly become more omni-chain, increasingly become more interoperable. So it doesn't really matter what network they're on, right? We want to target the best games, the most playable games, enjoyable games at the end of the day. And that's the spirit of K218 that we envision and we're hoping to bring to life. Alongside of that, Takika, which will be another major product stream for the year, right? So Takika, very community-based, very cultural. I think John actually made a really good assessment of kind of Telos and the brand and what we're working on right now, right? So if you go to telos.net and you look at our content, you look at our socials, everything's very structured, it's very clean, it's very B2B almost in a sense, it's very enterprise, right? And we've kind of, and that's strategic, right? We built it, we built that brand in with that in mind. Now, Takika, you can almost see it as almost the little brother, right? The little brother that's a little bit more the black sheep of the family. Takika is our medium through which we can allow more culture, more community interactions, and showcase that fun, creative, artistic side of Telos, and that's where we're going to see it. So within Takika, what we will be doing and delivering is specifically community-based events. We're going to be doing some pretty cool things where we'll partner up with fashion designers and tattoo artists and skate shops and things like that, and just deliver an overall very much fun experience. We want Takika to be something that people associate with. When they see the brand, they know exactly what it's about, and that's what we're slowly starting to build up. And then finally, the last stream that we'll be focusing on, of course, and I believe this is one of the most important, is community. Right? At the end of the day, I believe Telos is one of the most community-centric networks that exists. And I don't mean to say that just because I work at Telos, but I truly believe so. I see the power of community. I see people in the chats. I see everyone's coming out to support Telos on a day-to-day basis. I see us trending on CoinMarketCap, on CoinGecko, and that's the power of community. That's all the work that everybody's doing on socials, spreading the word, getting the word of Telos out there. And we believe that there should be a big segment of our efforts dedicated to community this year. So if we could go to the next slide here, John. So to kind of break it down for you guys, one of the things that we did was, coming into this year, we wanted a very strategic, comprehensive, and cohesive marketing strategy. So one of the first things I did was I took our product roadmap, right? The very roadmap that JT showed at the beginning of the presentation here today. And what we did was we overlaid certain pillars through which we can tie in chronologically to the release of those milestones within our evolved roadmap. And those pillars are branding, right? So we have branding, all the different designs, all the work that Chris Wax has done within this new redesign. As an example, right? When we started with this rebrand, one of the considerations for Telos was that as a network, we're going to be expanding, right? We knew we were going to be a layer zero. We knew we were going to be a network of networks. How do we build a brand that is future-proof, that is scalable, that allows for the addition of future networks to come? We achieved that with our branding. So as you can actually see, as more networks, as more products come online, we will be utilizing more of that gradient to unlock these new networks. For instance, K218, the gradient is kind of a red, kind of a pink, right? That's distinct branding. We want to create products that people associate with. That's branding. The second consideration is positioning, right? So now we have a brand that people can understand, can associate with. The next step is positioning. How do we position ourselves within the competitive landscape of other networks? How do we position ourselves against the slew of different EVMs that are coming across the market today? How do we position ourselves to be, the best, not just one of a kind, but differentiated and within our own category? And that's built into this roadmap as well. The third, original content. So the content layer that you see coming out of Telos, right? All the different blogs, all of the different content from John, all the different content from the TCD, finding a succinct key messaging that ties everything together and is able to deliver, what we are delivering on a product roadmap level, but on a community, content, copywriting, visual, narrative, storyline way. right? So original content. The fourth is product marketing. So alongside, everything that we're doing, we have certain things that will be released, right? So we have updates that are coming to Telos Zero, Telos EVM, right? We have Instant Finale that's coming on later this year. We have a slew of mainnet upgrades that are coming that's waiting in the backgrounds. And then on top of that, we have, new products that are coming online. So for instance, the Scalable Proof Protocol. All these things need to have their own end-to-end life cycle when it comes to product marketing. And part of that is figuring out, how best we can utilize these certain funnels and get people to go where we want them to go, right? And that's something that we spent a long time on, and that's something that we've developed and nurtured along this way to build that kind of consistent end-to-end consumer cycle where people can kind of follow, and it doesn't trail off, it leads into the next. So that's what we've done here. And sorry, actually the last piece that we put into consideration is actually community again. I believe community is king. And at the end of the day, how do we take everything that we're working on and how do we bring it back to the community, right? Everything comes back to the community, especially in Web3, especially at Telos. So that's the main consideration. So what we've done is taken the main milestones via our products roadmap, and we've systematically tied all the major pieces around it so that it all connects, it all intersects, it all interweaves to create the narrative that we have for this year. I truly believe that this marketing strategy that we have for 2024 is one of the most cohesive and most complete that we've ever had at Telos. I truly believe that. You add alongside that the events that we'll be attending. So I mentioned earlier, we'll be attending around 45 different events this year, and all of these are strategic. We'll have people that are close to that region attending, and then also secondary, we'll have people that are closest to their specialty attending the specific types of events as well. And then you add on top of that, right, the two special events that we will be diamond sponsors at this year, courtesy of John Lilic, ETH Belgrade, ETH CC. So these are two events that we've started planning already, and we're very far deep into the planning execution phase. We've been in very close touch with the ETH CC organizers, and we believe that the product that we are bringing this year towards these events is really going to, it's gonna make people look at Telos a little bit differently this year. I truly believe that. So in terms of that, at the very top, you can kind of see almost, we've kind of broken it down, right? Unfortunately, I wish I could show you guys kind of the full scope of the content calendar that we have for this year, but unfortunately, it's kind of gated behind a couple of key moments. PR is attached to a lot of these. So that in certain instances where a major product is being released, there will be a huge PR cycle that follows that. And when it comes to that, things can be a little bit sensitive. So what we've done actually is at the very top, we've introduced kind of a theme for the year, and that can be categorized per quarter, right? So the first quarter of this year, spanning from January to essentially the end of March, we're going to be focusing on community, right? So as you guys have seen, we launched the DAO Labs Telos Hub about 1 week ago, and that was kind of the intro to all of this. It's been a fantastic product that launched. We're still in the soft launch phase of the entire rollout, and the official launch will actually be happening at February 1st. So this is something that we're working very closely with the DAO Labs team to refine, to optimize this program, to make it a much more better user experience, and to overall just increase the amount of social activity of people speaking about Telos via socials. I believe that by the end of Q2, we can have the same level of social activity across all social channels that a top 100 market cap project has. I believe we can reach that by the end of Q2. Leading into Q2, we have essentially the Tikika go-to-market, right? So a bunch of really fun, amazing Tikika events, all culminating with the launch of Tikika as well, right? We'll have the whitelist for Tikika happening, and then numerous quests and ecosystem engagement opportunities will start to open on a week-to-week basis, on a month-to-month basis. That leads directly into Q3, which is a major focus on gaming. Within Q3, we essentially have the launch of K218, and let's just say all the work that people have been doing within Tikika within the past quarter may be associated with some sort of potential airdrop that's going to happen for K218. And then finally, by Q4, we have, all these products that have launched. We have K218 that's live operational. We'll have AAA games onboarded already that you can play. Dakika's in full blast. Zero knowledge scalable protocol. We will have a version 1, fingers crossed, of that application by then. So from Q4 of 2024 onwards, we're looking at scaling. We're looking at scaling everything. We're looking at scaling all the different networks, all the different applications, the usage, the utility, the community, everything. So in a nutshell, more or less, that is our strategy for this year. And we're excited. We're really excited. We're excited to showcase, what we've been working on. We believe that this is going to be the year of Telos, and we've been fortunate enough to be around a team that, for the first time, feels really complete. It feels really complete with the addition of John Lilic coming on board, with the recent additions of Lee Erswell, our new CEO, with the recent addition of Justin Edwards, our head of gaming. It feels for the first time we have a fully complete team. We have a fully complete dev team that's delivering incredible technology. And for the first time, we have a fully complete marketing strategy that's going to support everything from end to end.
It just made my heart palpitate a little bit. That's awesome. So, Peter, let's talk about next steps for everybody. I know we've got the SPP white paper. I don't know that you touched on that one, though, did you?
Yeah, so the zero knowledge white paper, we briefly mentioned it in the beginning. So this is currently rounding out. The first draft is complete, and it's going through a review process right now. Essentially, once that is kind of done, we're looking at probably, today's January 24th, we're looking at the next couple of weeks before we see potentially a release on the SPP white paper.
Well, I was referring to the marketing around the white paper. Like, what are we going to do specifically for marketing for the SPP white paper? Sorry about that.
Correct. Yes. So once the SPP white paper launches, we're currently looking at a couple of different conferences right now through which Alberto and his team can go out and present these on almost an educational and technical level. So that's going to be first. The second major thing, which is going to be a huge task for myself and my department, is it's a very technical white paper. It's a very long white paper. It requires some knowledge in order to read it, or some base layer content of knowledge in order to understand it. So one of our jobs is turning that into a digestible form, right? So that's going to be in the form of light papers, one papers, things that someone that is not zero knowledge savvy can pick up, can understand, and they can explain it to their grandmother, right? So that's the idea for that. And leading into that, we will also do the next dedicated town hall on the zero knowledge scalable proof protocol led by Alberto and his team. So that's coming up probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And then the K218 white paper is also going to be coming out here in the next few weeks also too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So these
so much stuff going on.
It's a lot. It definitely is a lot. Yeah. So these two things have been working side by side. Both are near in completion as well. And the K218, it's going to be good. It's going to be a really good one because it's a white paper for a whole other chain, right? And we had to take in a lot of different considerations for this white paper. For instance, tokenomics, right? How do we kind of work in the tokenomics of a brand new ZK EVM gaming chain? How does that tie back into Telos, right? There's all these different considerations. How do gas fees work? How does the token unlocks work? Things like that. So we've actually been working with a professor from the London School of Economics to finalize and kind of hone down on the different tokenomic aspects of this white paper. And really, by the time it's going to be released, it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, and that's actually one update that I missed at the beginning of this thing regarding K218, the side chain running ZK EVM. The other, and there was actually a third hire that I neglected to talk about that had also been kind of working for us part-time. That's Craig Brandscrum. He is one of the original Telos developers from before we launched mainnet. He went away, worked on his career in other areas, still in Web3, and now he's back, and he's working for Telos full time right now, and he is heading up the deployment of that ZK EVM in support of K218. So yeah, that's awesome. And then Town Hall number 5, is that a February thing or a March thing?
Yeah, I think depending on how the timing for some of these drops happen, if it makes sense in February, we'll certainly do it in February. If we have to push it back a little bit, then we'll push it back for March. It all kind of depends on, you know, how quick we can kind of get some of these white papers to market.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Q&A. Let's bring John back. John, welcome back.
All right. Yeah, I was just gonna tweet. It's like Peter's been talking for a long ass time, but the reality is that is a massive roadmap, and now I'm starting to get stressed that I'm just gonna be like super busy. We're all gonna just like there's gonna be no chill this year.
No chill.
It's unbelievable. That was like very in depth. Thank you for that, Peter. Super good.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got some questions here from the community that our good friend Max collected. Let's see, where do we start? John, it looks like this one's for you. Is there an update on the advisory board that John will be forming? Does John have some hints to drop on the progress so far?
All right. Well, yeah. So first of all, I think that, and I've been having lots of conversations with like Ethereum OGs and sort of even some Bitcoin OGs actually, trying to understand Telos and what the heck I'm doing. And actually, when I talk to a lot of these people, they're just sort of blown away. And so we are in the process of having lots of fruitful conversations with people I think are very reputable. And it's not even just like for shilling Telos or anything like that. It's really strategic. Some of the people that I've been very fortunate to work with in the past, actually many of them brilliant minds. One person in particular is probably one of the best tokenomics, engineers I've ever known. And so we're talking to a few different people, in addition to raising awareness, which is really a secondary effect. There are strategic opportunities for them to come in and, advise on some of the work that we're doing. I can't mention any names. I can say that if things keep going as they're going, then hopefully in the next couple weeks or so, some of the first announcements will be made. We'll see how it goes. A lot of that really just depends on, a lot of it is out of our hands. It depends on how people feel about Telos, but so far, I think the conversations have been going very, very well. And a lot, from my experiences, I would also say that a lot of people online ask me about Matic and Polygon and all that, and I can address that here. It's kind of like Matic launched in 2017. Okay, it was around for several years before anybody knew anything. The founders, all they did was work like very, very hard. They stuck to it, and then of course at the end of 2020, after some number of years, they were able to put together an advisory team, an advisory board. It was myself. It was a guy named Hudson Jameson, who's well known in the Ethereum community, RSA, the Bankless guy, Pete Kim, the Coinbase guy, very good guy, really, really smart guy. Eventually, Mark Cuban came on board, etc. And I think that group of people was tremendous, particularly on the business development side, as far as helping recruit applications onto the network, getting them to deploy. And so really it was less about the publicity around it and much more about the productive outcome of these teams these people working together across teams, strategically helping grow the network. And so that's like the primary objective of building an advisory board, is to enhance our capabilities, strategically, technically, business wise, and the marketing side effect is sort of like a byproduct of that. So all that being said, stay tuned. We're actively having discussions, and I hope that we'll be able to recruit very talented people to our team. So that's the plan.
Awesome. Looks like that was actually a 2-part question from maybe the same submitter. Second part being, what does he think is the best way to attract users to Telos in terms of cost effect? I guess being cost effective. and which, according to him, makes no sense for the same reason, too high cost for the effect.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, very good question. I mean, I would try to address that a couple different ways. First of all, in terms of cost, like to use the network, okay, I think that's really important at the margin. And so what I mean by that is everything is cool until the gas price spikes, and then everybody is just like, losing their minds and really unhappy. And the gas spike, the gas prices spike at critical times. Probably very often during massive liquidation events, for example. um, and so I remember, like before the L2 stuff, became a big deal in Ethereum. Um, it was all kinds of stories about how mainnet could handle it, and we're going to have all this sharding and all these like amazing things. None of it really developed, and actually, it was all pushed to the abstraction layers, wherein others developed these L2 networks, and it became really important at the margin. Like in the moment when the gas prices went crazy, that's when the L2 adoption really started to kick in my opinion. So from that cost standpoint, I do think that when the mania returns, as it does, and that's how it goes in crypto, there's sort of long periods where nothing happens, and then short bursts where everything happens and the cost of everything just goes through the roof. That will be a tremendous opportunity for Telos, in my opinion. In addition to cost, just like things functioning, not being front run, not being meved, etc. In terms of cost of like, are we going to just like spend tons and tons of money without return on our investment? And are we going to do that in a responsible manner? And how do we attract not only talent but users while being on a limited budget? I would say there's a couple things there. First of all, there is a group of supporters who have been, around the Telos ecosystem, people like myself and others who are certainly going to continue to make investments to help grow the Telos ecosystem. One example is like I personally paid for the FCC sponsorship. I'm not doing that for any other reason but the fact that I believe in Telos. I think it should have the opportunity. Of course, it aligns with my incentives as well. And so I do think as we continue to move forward, we can definitely tap into a network of basically whales who can help support Telos as we grow because it aligns with their financial, incentives. The same thing happened with Ethereum. I mean, for many of the early years, there was a small number of people who were like helping support Ethereum. I mean, this is not even like any alpha or anything. It's kind of a well-known story, but Joe, my former boss, is the guy who paid Consensus basically paid for DevCon 1, the event in London, the big event in 2015, because the Ethereum Foundation couldn't afford it at the time. So it's nothing new that those who are aligned with the network and have resources will help support. I do think that that will factor in, and we have to demonstrate that we're working hard and that we're worthy of an investment, essentially, which I think we're doing every single day. Aside from that, there's lots of people who are willing to take risk because particularly when you join a network at an early stage and you materially contribute to growth, there's lots and lots of room for upside. And so I think incentives and incentive alignment, sort of invisible hand, will help Telos sustain some of these costs going into this year. Then it's really on us, right? Like we go to various events, we participate in hackathons, we launch a bunch of different programs, and well, at that point, we need to like execute that very, very well, and we're going to be given the opportunity. The rest is on us, whether we sort of seize that opportunity and really generate the traction and momentum that we need going forward. So I hope that those two parts cover that question, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, awesome. Next question. When will there be a transaction history graph and live TPS update on Block Explorer? Also gas burn update. I'll take that one. So we have had the history graph, live transaction data. We've had all of that on internal tools for probably close to a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So these are all things that we've used for letting the community know how we're doing. We share those in the form of screenshots, and we've never had a front end built for people to be able to go in and see themselves. So that has been on the roadmap for some time. And Jesse himself started writing the API just a couple of weeks ago to gather all of that data and be able to give it to the front end team to say, okay, here you go. This is what we want. So we're going to show everything from EVM transactions, native transactions. And I'm talking about counts, counts over time. You can pick your timeline that you want to go in and see. You'll be able to see spikes. You'll be able to see how much gas was used. And we'll also be able to see activity on verified contracts. So it's extremely important that all of our app partners go in and verify their contracts. We still have some that are unverified, so it's hard to track, be able to say, okay, well, this contract address belongs to this app, right? Can't do that unless it's verified or there's some other kind of communication. So highly encourage all of our app partners to go in, verify your contracts so that you can be included in that dashboard. And yeah, be looking for that before the end of the quarter for sure. There was a second part to that question. Gas burn update. So far we have burned equivalent to today's price somewhere around $35,000 or $36,000 of EVM gas fees. So that included the first big burn that was a part of one of the more recent proposals, and then right now we're doing monthly burns thereafter. So Christmas holiday kind of messed up December. I don't think we got December's burn done until like the 2nd or 3rd of January. But we are going to continue to do those burns around the 1st of the month. They're currently requiring a multi-sig for the BPs. So every time we go in and do the retire action, it does take all the BPs to sign off and execute that action. But last time it flowed really well. I think we got it signed and executed within a day. So we'll continue that process for now. And yeah, it's working great. Next question. How does Telos intend to cut through the marketing BS of other blockchains and showcase itself as the most high-performing network loaded with unique features in the industry? Peter, I think that one's for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question as well, JT. I think, kind of my assessment of marketing, particularly Web3, is that we know in the space things change very quickly. Things change from however you want to call it. Let's call it cycle to cycle, right? So if we take a look back at, for instance, 2017 to 2021, there's always narratives that are constantly changing, right? So for 2016, 2017, we kind of had the start of the ICO craze, right? That's when ICOs first really started to kick off. Ethereum went through an ICO phase. 2021, the continuation of that, right? IDOs started coming up, public launch pads, things like that. Investments, right? Capital investments into Web3 projects was huge at the time. And one of the things that I've noticed in particularly this year, right, 2024, and kind of the in-between period between 2021 and 2024, is that the market itself has actually dramatically matured in terms of how we analyze projects, how we, how investors do their analysis of projects that they're looking to invest on. Right, back in 2021, pretty much anybody could raise capital. And now the criteria for VCs when they're doing their due diligence on projects has become, top of the line. And in a way, I feel that marketing has also evolved, right? From cycle to cycle, things that worked previously do not work now, right? So for instance, back in 2017, even 2021, right, you could pay for KOLs that were known on, social media, and they could shill your project. And that in itself could have had dramatic impacts. And I believe that the community in Web3 right now can actually see through a lot of the noise. They can actually see when something is inorganic, when things are, not genuine. And that shows, right? And I don't think I'm the first one to kind of make that statement. So marketing within Web3 has grown exponentially and has matured alongside project development, alongside capital fundraising, alongside all these other criterias that continue to move the industry forward. So how do we kind of get ahead within marketing at Telos, and how do we kind of separate us from the pack? For me, fundamentally, I believe in the fundamentals of marketing, right? Strong key messaging, sticking to your brand core, genuine key messaging, and building, strong funnels, right? Strong funnels. Documentation is one of those funnels, right? So that's something John has noticed, right? We spent a lot of time last year and ongoing focusing on our documentation, focusing on developer onboarding, focusing on user onboarding, focusing on all the different ways that when a new user enters this ecosystem, just trying to make everything as seamless, as easy as possible for them so that they can be integrated, so that they can start using our application, so that they can start being embedded into the Telos community. These are things that we really focus on the marketing side of things. Secondary to that, I believe, we at Telos kind of go above and beyond when it comes to certain things. For instance, as an example, last year around, I believe it was around May or June of last year, JT was a part of this group. He delivered a report that was published and peer-reviewed, rather, by the Blockchain Collaborative at the Waco University in Texas. And what this report was that it essentially empirically summarized the throughputs, or rather identified the throughput of our Telos EVM, right? Very concretely, very quantitatively, and it's there, right? The tested methodology is there. I don't think I've seen a single other report from any other layer 1 or layer 2 network that is able to concretely, legitimately quantify their throughput within a peer-reviewed study or within a controlled testing environment that is reproducible. Right. So these are the things that we focus on. We truly believe in the network. We truly believe, and a lot of networks can kind of post things like a maximum amount of transactions per second. I'm not going to name any particular network, but there was one particular network recently that posted they had about 1 million transactions per second. And when they went live, I believe after 10 transactions, the network crashed, right? So what do we have at Telos? We have a strong technological foundational core, 5 years of upside, never went down once, or at least an unscheduled outage, right? And these are the things that we really focus on key messaging. At the end of the day, we believe that once people start utilizing the tech, they start making transactions, they start making swaps, they start making operations on the Telos network, they're going to see the advantages for themselves. And our job on marketing is to amplify those core competencies, those core unique selling propositions of our network, so that the broader crypto world and the broader Web2 world can see that and start utilizing it.
Yeah, good. That's a good answer. One comment I wanted to make on that, though. So the Blockchain Collaborative was a part of Baylor University. So they're Baylor University. They're part of the Big 12. Wanted to give them a shout out. They are based here in Waco, Texas. I didn't go to Baylor myself. Went to Texas A&M. But for this case, sick 'em Bears. John, next question is for you, sir. I think the next question is for you. What is the plan? Sorry, looks like I might have missed it. Oh, here we go. What is the plan to get an easier way to have people access the Telos token in the USA? It's still quite hard due to restrictions on exchanges such as KuCoin, which is true. KuCoin did start putting in some key KYC requirements. But since then, we have the Uphold exchange, which is US based, and you're able to go in and buy Telos through there. John, do you have any ideas about other US based exchanges?
Well, okay, so slightly delicate question. On the one hand, we can't control which exchanges decide to list Telos. We can only control the things that we do as far as trying to grow the network, grow the user base, and organic growth, helping drive attention wherein exchanges might consider listing Telos. Okay, so it's very, very hard to influence these things. That's the first thing, just to like level set expectations. Before we get to exchanges, I would also say that one of the core tenets here with Ethereum and the EVM is the fact that you can self custody everything and you don't need exchanges. I remember in the early Bitcoin days, we had lots and lots and lots of trouble with all kinds of exchanges for many, many years. And that was one of the driving forces behind eventually the emergence of Ethereum, the ability to, realize the opportunity to transact as you like, including using decentralized exchanges. And so there's lots and lots of great DeFi activity happening now on Telos. We are expanding the ecosystem. Of course, when you avail of the EVM, you have access to basically the biggest pool of liquidity anywhere in the world as it relates to the decentralized crypto ecosystem, which is obviously the EVM. And so that's kind of like the first starting point. In other words, you can avail of DEXs and get your hands on Telos and start staking and participating if you want. As far as exchanges are concerned, I think that, yeah, the best thing we can do is continue growing the network, continue organically producing, results that deliver value to the users and a great user experience. I would say that what bodes well for Telos is the fact that there was no ICO, no pre-mine, nothing that from a regulatory standpoint could cause concerns as far as listing criteria goes. Maybe that point is not well understood by the broader market in general, in particular exchanges. I feel like Telos is as close to Bitcoin as you can get with respect to the distribution. And so I feel like that bodes very, very well. All that being said, we're just going to continue doing our best to grow the network. We're going to do all the things I mentioned. And at some point, I think it'll be difficult for exchanges to not notice. So that's kind of like, it's the reality of the matter. That's kind of the answer, I guess.
Yeah, got it. And with 2 minutes left here, there's one more question for you, John. How would John evaluate his first 4 to 6 weeks as executive director at the Telos Foundation? Has any one thing stood out to him during that time?
Well, a great question. It's actually been a couple of years. I mean, I invested in Telos, some number of years ago, and I've been participating in this ecosystem ever since, maybe more quietly now that I'm more active and sort of back on Twitter and engaging with the community. First thing I would say is just the community support is really spectacular. We've got like lots of highly engaged people who care about Telos, which kind of reminds me of early Ethereum. And it's sort of a nostalgic, almost romantic time wherein the community is relatively small compared to how big it can get. And it's an opportunity to kind of like, be friends, get to know each other, have a good time. Obviously, once you get above your Dunbar number individually, like you start interacting with a lot more people, things get more difficult to manage. As communities grow, the dynamics change. So I personally like this current phase that we're in, but I also recognize that I think we're growing tremendously. So interacting with the community in a meaningful way has been sort of like, I guess, a profoundly wonderful experience so far. I think we're going to continue to grow the community, make sure that they're front and center. On the technical side as well, just diving more and more into the characteristics and capabilities of Telos, along with things we have on the roadmap. It's just the performance characteristics are so radically different. And like I said earlier, at the margin, when the costs spike, particularly the gas prices, and maybe things start to break down in some other networks, Telos, I think, will shine tremendously in those moments, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think we're continuing to work towards that. And then I would say, in terms of the Telos team itself, wonderful group of people. I've been fortunate to work at big organizations before, including when they were very small and on the way up as we got bigger and bigger. I think the talent pool at Telos is really excellent. Everyone's working really hard. The communication is great. Lots of things we can improve on, and we talk about that openly all the time. And so I think just operational efficiency internally, continuing to make improvements, both in the way we operate, but more importantly in the way the core technology functions and what it can do. Justin and I were having a conversation yesterday, and like he spoke very elegantly about the fact that Telos does have a robust governance model, which allows us to evolve as we need or as the market demands. And so I think lots and lots of great opportunity on the horizon to sort of like be ahead of the curve, if you will, or attempt to be anyways. And so all that being said, community, tech, and then like internal operational efficiency and just the way we run, the foundation and the way we interact with our partners as well, in particular, especially our DeFi partners. Those are all things I feel very good about, while also being mindful of, the work we need to do and, the operational efficiency gains we're seeking to realize. And so, it's a pleasure and a privilege to work with this team and this community every day.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. And with that, we are right at an hour. That was perfectly timed, Peter.
That's it. We all about efficiency here at Telos.
Yes.
I want to thank you guys for joining today for the third Evolve Town Hall event. First one of 2024, and next one will be in a few weeks. So be looking out for that on Telegram and on Twitter. Make sure to you can follow all of us. Follow John, Chief of Telos. Just search for us on x.com and hit the follow button. Hit the like on the posts. Join us on Telegram. We hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll see you in the next one.
Very good.